I want to talk about compassion again, because I think this topic of compassion gets a little misunderstood. And I even think it gets misunderstood by some of the most people who are the most inspirational and advanced when it comes to spirituality. I even think it gets mixed up with them. Because sometimes I feel like there needs to be a balance when it comes to compassion. I said that earlier. There needs to be balance when it comes to compassion. There's nothing wrong with compassion. But there needs to be some kind of balance when it comes to compassion. There was a time when I had a family member who said, you need to know when to hold them and you need to know when to roll them. That's that old school saying. When I used to work at a particular place, and, it could be a hostile environment, right? And, my relative said, well, you need to know when to hold them and when to roll them, And so when I say this thing about compassion, it kind of means the same thing. There needs to be some kind of discernment on when to have compassion and when not to have compassion. And what I hear a lot of these love and light people preach, it's all compassion. That's the all or nothing again. It's always just have to be compassion, no matter what, no matter the circumstance. There always has to be 100% compassion no matter what. And I said before, I believe that is a doctrine of the devil. I think that is a doctrine of Satan. It sounds sweet, it sounds love and light, but Lucifer is the light bearer. I think that is a message of Satan to keep this wickedness going. Because if you always have compassion and you don't use discernment on when you choose to use, you don't use discernment on when you use compassion, but you're just supposed to use it every single time something happens, then you really allow wickedness to prosper. Because sometimes you can take compassion when you have something deep down in you that feel that this individual might not really be like this, right? Or even if it's a disembodied spirit. Because this person talked about disembodied spirit. Well, even with that, something deep in you needs to tell you to have compassion. Don't just have compassion because somebody tell you. That's that non-spirit. That's actually not even spiritual to just have compassion just because. That's not even spiritual. That's not even discernment. You're just doing what you think you're supposed to do and you're doing what you're told. That's like saying anytime somebody asks you for money, you need to give it. It don't matter if they're homeless. It don't matter if they lying to you. It don't matter if they are a millionaire. You giving. This is what a lot of religious people used to say. Or they still probably do, but I don't really talk to them. Well, you giving your money to God anyway, so it don't matter. See, that's that mess. That's not that you're not even using discernment. You're doing something that is kind of religious, and you're not even using no kind of judgment. You're not even using no kind of judgment. So with compassion, you need judgment as well. Okay? Now, I want to go into this. Why I say you need judgment with compassion. Because a lot of us are still messed up ourselves. And sometimes when you just exercise compassion just on anything, anybody, that's to say that somehow you're better. Well, I might be more messed up than the person I'm showing compassion on. Right, like say somebody just like really, let's say that somebody is brutally attacking you nonstop, like it never ends. No matter how patient you are, it just never ends, right? And you can really mess them up bad because you block them and you try to do everything in your power to stop them. But they keep going. Whatever's in them just won't stop. And you just want to have all this compassion for this person. Oh, well, they could have been through something in their life. They could have people who do that are so miserable. And so let me have compassion because they're only doing it because they're miserable. But what you got to understand is sometimes you might be worse off than that person is. And that's what I don't like about compassion, because sometimes too much compassion kind of give off the energy. When I exercise too much compassion, or I have compassion for every single person to do something, that gives off the vibe that I'm perfect in some kind of way, right? As if ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm probably more messed up than the person that's messing with me. I'm probably more messed up than they are. Because I don't have so much compassion to the point of taking so many people trash, that I'm actually a whole lot worse than the person who messing with me. So why am I having compassion and calling them miserable when I'm in worse shape than they are? I'm in worse shape than they are. That's like, let me bring it down to the mundane. That's like saying I'm taking compassion for somebody who had to move out of a mansion to, they had to move out of a, poor thing had to move out of a 10,000 square foot house. Poor thing, they had to downsize to a 2,000 square foot house. Poor thing they are, poor thing, right? And you having all this compassion, but at the same time, you trying to get out the homeless shelter. So that I'm trying to bring it down to the mundane, because I'm not using no fault with the homeless shelter. I'm not knocking no homeless shelter. I'm trying to bring it down to the mundane. When you have compassion just on anybody without using any kind of judgment or discernment, you just having all this compassion because you're told to do so. You're told to do it, right? So you just have all this compassion. But you don't know that you more messed up. You 20 times more messed up than the person you having compassion on. You 20 times more messed up than they are, but you don't realize you are. And so it's almost like having compassion for a person that got to downsize from a 10,000 square foot house to a 2,000 square foot house. You having compassion on their issues when you in a homeless shelter. It's kind of the same thing. You can't even afford to get into a 1-bedroom apartment, but you having compassion on somebody because they can't live in a doggone mansion. I'm trying to explain that the best way possible. Now, a lot of people already understand that, though. Okay? And so sometimes too much compassion, not having balance with your compassion, can come off as if you feel like you're so much above everybody who does you wrong, when you're really not actually above everybody who does you wrong. You're not better than them. Sometimes too much compassion, no balance with compassion, could come off as if you're somehow spiritually more mature than they are. Somehow your life is better than theirs. Somehow your life turned out better. Now, like say, when you use judgment and discernment and compassion, it's because sometimes you could have been through what they've been through. And so sometimes you could exercise compassion because you know exactly where they're coming from, because you used to be there. So you might have compassion for the fact that you used to be exactly where they are. That's a totally different thing. Or something deep down in you might just tell you, have some compassion, because something in you that's more wiser than your ego self is telling you to have compassion, even if you don't know. That's something else different. That's a level of discernment. So sometimes people have compassion based on because they've been where this person was, and so they having compassion just basically based on their experiences, and they understand where this person coming from. Or they could have compassion based on the fact that it's true discernment, something deep down in them telling them to have compassion for this person, because this is not who this person really is. It's something else. And so something deep down, which is more discernment, that's telling them to have compassion. But just doing it because religion and this love and light message that comes from Satan, I believe now, telling you to do it is kind of an ego. It's kind of egoic when you think about it. It's actually kind of ego. To just think you're going to have compassion on everything and everybody and every spirit that attack you. You just going to take compassion on them. It's kind of an ego problem. Because it comes off as if you're so much above than what they are. Oh, well, let me take compassion. Let me take compassion out on you, for you know not what you do. Let me take compassion because you might have been through something. As if you haven't. As if you haven't. As if you ain't still messed up. But you got to take compassion out on this person that probably got it better than you do. Now, that's what I'm trying to say. And that's why it's kind of been hard for me to take compassion out on a whole lot of people. Because a whole lot of people that attack me brutally nonstop with your family members, actually have never had it as bad. They haven't come close to having it as bad as what I have. Whatever they've been through ain't as close to what they did to me. So now I'm having trouble having compassion on you. Because with the stuff that you did to me don't come close to what you've been through. So I can't have compassion on you because you're better off than I am. I can't have compassion on somebody who's better off than I am. I can't do that. And this is why, to end this, because I don't want to talk long with this is why I say it's important, because this message is never preached. And I don't want to use the word preached, but it's never said hardly. It might have been said 1 or 2 times, but it's not really a viral type of message, because it could have been said by a few people. I think I heard 1 or 2 people say it, but it's not a viral type of message like the love and light messages, okay? And that's why I say it's important to have compassion on yourself and to forgive yourself. Because you need to have compassion on yourself before you have compassion on somebody else. But just to have compassion just for whatever, just because it's a popular message out there that tells you to have compassion on everything that attacks you, it's really egoic to me. It's really ego. To me, it sounds like a lot of ego, because it comes out as if they're the ones with problems and you're the ones that don't have the problem. When actually you could be more messed up in the head than they are. Especially if they're doing spiritual work on you. Especially if you come from a family that could have been doing spiritual work since you might have been in the womb or since you were little. And they might have been part of some cult. And they sacrifice you to some kind of cult so they can have a good life. And they probably never get it, because especially a lot of black folks don't seem to get, is that they need to work on their minds. They need to work on a mentality of wealth. They're trying to sacrifice you to some demons to feed them so they can get money, but they don't have a wealth mentality. They still doing it with a poverty type of mentality, and they still end up broke. There's a lot of black people, a lot of black families that sacrifice their children to some demons, but because they still have a poverty type of consciousness, they never get rich. They can't figure out something wrong with their doggone head. But nevertheless, a lot of people, like for example, have been sacrificed to other energies since they were children, and rituals performed on them since they were children. So a lot of black people have been in that position. For some reason, they're so religious. A lot of black people have been so indoctrinated with religion that it's hard for them to believe that. But a lot of black people, a lot of black Americans have been sacrificed and had rituals done on them since before they were born and since they were little. But religion keeps them from being able to see this and open their eyes to it. And, and so when you're messed up spiritually, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, you all messed up since you were a child, because you had a family that sacrificed you since before you came out the womb, or maybe since after you were born, but very early after you were born. They've been sacrificing you. They've been taking your energy. They've been doing stuff to you. They've been hexing you since you were a little child. Now, how can you take compassion on people like that? You're too messed up to take compassion. I don't mean messed up in a bad way, because this is actually kind of something I understand or overstand. When you come to the realization that these people done messed you up since you were a little child, it ain't the time to take compassion for them. It ain't the time to have forgiveness, because they're actually in a much better state of mind, and they're actually in a much better position. Mentally, psychologically, emotionally, maybe even physically, energetically. These people that done this to you are in a better position than you are. You can't take compassion on them. They're already better off than you are. They already have a better chance at moving up spiritually, evolution-wise. But they have a better chance of moving up than you do, because they messed you up so bad that you can't afford to take compassion on them, because they're doing better than you are. They're doing better than you are. Okay? And here's another thing. Ain't nothing gonna come back on them for messing you up spiritually like that. There's been a misconception that eventually it's gonna come back to them. It won't, because I've seen from my own eyes that somebody tried to do something to me. And then I saw them doing the meditation, and I saw where they were coming, like they were moving up. Even though they were evil as I don't know what, and to me they were evil, because they were attacking me. They were evil. But I was doing the meditation, I saw them moving up, like they were evolving, I saw them coming out of the water, right? Like, wait a minute, they did all this shit. Excuse my language. They did all this shit. And you see them about to get out this motherfucker. You see them about to get out this mug. They about to get out. I came about that water and they fell right down into that water again. They went right underwater. And then I saw, this is spiritually now. This is spiritually. And I saw an image of them being trapped like in some kind of tree or something. I saw when I came up and they fell back down, because I had to work on myself to come up. I said, they were about to get up out of here. Nothing was going to come back on them because they did something. It's no such thing. I don't even think it's such thing as good and bad. It's no such thing. They were about to get up out of here. So people can still evolve spiritually, even doing some messed up stuff to you. That's why I don't like the message of compassion, because it comes as if somebody can do something wrong to you and they can't evolve spiritually because that's wrong. I've seen it during the meditation where this person was still about to get the heck on up out. They were about to get out. They were about to be free because they tried to mess me over. And when I came up out, they fell right back down underwater, and I saw them caught. But they didn't look like themselves. They look as spiritually what they are, right? I saw them as spiritually as what they really are, instead of the avatar that you can see with your own eyes, right? Instead of a person, I saw them as what they really were spiritually, and they were caught, right? I said, see, this is why you can't get in all this compassion and letting them slide, because ain't no such thing as karma for real. That's a new 2,000-year-old concept that came from, I think, like a Hindu type of religion that did not exist really before. Not in the way that people explain it today. And people, well, I seen karma happen because something happened to my coworker when they made me mad. Oh man, something. Yeah, but what about the people what about the people that's running this world currently? What's up with their karma? Because they've been doing this. I mean, they've been running this world. They've been doing what they've been doing for eons. And where is their karma? Where is their karma? Okay? Not to try to take up for black people, but these people, they doing a lot of work to kill off black people now. They doing a lot of work. A lot of kids done went missing. I'm talking about like from these projects. A lot of people have been removed from the projects when they messed up that water in Detroit. Some part of Detroit, I think. And they messed up this water. I forgot what part. It was in Detroit. I forgot exactly what part, but it was in Detroit. And they messed up that water, and a lot of those mothers and children went missing. A lot of them were kidnapped. Where is the karma for the people that's doing all this human trafficking? Where is that karma? Because like, oh well, they eventually something gonna happen to them because another energy might rise up that might want to remove them. But the energy that might rise up might not be no better than them. They're just moving them out the way so they can do what they want to do. They might not be no better. It ain't no karma. I saw this. It ain't no karma. You gotta take back what belongs to you. And not have a compassion on everything and everybody. Use discernment. Some people, like I say, have compassion because they kind of get it. They might have experienced what this person is experiencing, or they can be somewhere like where they working. Like if you work in a hospital, somebody just got shot in their arm or something, and they spazzing out on you because they in some severe pain and they trying to figure out if they gonna be the same again. So you can take compassion on that because you like, well, how the hell would I be if I was in this person's shoes? I'd probably be crazier than they are. So then you kind of put yourself in somebody's shoes, and so you can have compassion in that manner. But just taking compassion on every single spirit, every single energy, every single person. I don't have compassion for Bill Gates. I don't. Why would I? And I'm not saying that to judge him. I'm just saying somebody who kind of appears to be a way ahead of the 8 ball than I am, I can't take compassion on him. It's not to judge him. It's just like, I can't do it. Right? So that's what I mean. But that's all I have to say. I have to drive off now, and I will talk later. All right.